Hi guys, I don't know if you have watched my previous video. I showed you guys that I bought a few locomotives at the Berkeley Ace Hardware swap meet. So I told you guys that I'm gonna start to work on them and fix them and modify them and stuff. So I've started already on this AC 4400. So usually what I do when I buy old locomotives, used ones especially, like they're like 20 years old or something, like the SD40 T2s or things like that, I totally take it apart. I mean, like you see here, I have taken everything out, even lights. Actually, I made lenses for it. I don't know if I can see. It didn't have lenses. It had those incandescent light bulbs. I don't like those, so I usually install LEDs. So what I do, the ones that they don't have lenses, I use this fiber optics. This is what I use. Plastruct. It's 1.6 millimeter clear acrylic rod. So this is what I use. I make the lenses for Dash 9s. I do it for SD40 T2s, and they come out really well. Alright, so that's that. Another thing I've done, the front of this locomotive was really butchered. I mean, the guy, I took it apart. I have a picture, I'll put it on, you'll see. There was glue everywhere. Here it was full of glue. So what I did, I put a piece of styrene in the back to support it. There was a huge hole here, so I made new holes and made a new kind of installation for the plow. I painted it. It was the wrong paint. It was a SP paint. I kind of adjusted the lift bars in the front. Also in the back I haven't done much. I just took the MU hoses out, and also I've taken the MU hoses out of the front ones too. So he glued the KD boxes here. He glued them on. It was terrible. Like, it took me a long time to take them off. A lot of work. So looks already better. And also there were a couple of big holes here. He ran the wires for the ditch lights, so I filled them in. I painted, and I don't know if AC 4400s come with ditch lights or not, but I gotta look on the internet. He put ditch lights here. Alright, another important thing that is very important for me that I do is also don't forget these guys here. This thing seizes sometimes. You gotta make sure it's clean, and I haven't done this yet, but they need to turn very smoothly. I bought a Proto 2000. It wasn't working. Then I found out these here were seized, like the grease on it was dried out. It was frozen, so it wouldn't turn. So another important thing I do, I take this motor apart. See, take the spring out. This is the spring, and what I do, I clean these carbon contacts, which they come in contact with the collector. What happens inside this housing here, all the dust and sometimes oil gets built up, and this carbon here contact gets stuck, and it won't make good contact with the collector. So what I do, I take both of them out and I use some kind of solvent. What I use, you can use 90% alcohol or something, but this is what I use. Lacquer thinner. This is a big 1 quart, goes forever, from Home Depot. It's about $7-8. So I use that for my cleanings. It does a perfect job. So what I do, I use a paper towel and clean the inside and also clean these carbons here. So gotta make sure, so when you put it in, when you turn it, it has to just fall off. I guarantee you, when you take your locomotive motor apart and you do this, it won't fall off. It will get stuck in there. So it's very important. So these things have constant pressure on the collector, so you get a good voltage to your spool in the motor and stuff. So I have tested before that before I clean it, it needs more voltage to start to turn than when after cleaning. It takes much less voltage to start to turn the motor. So it's very important I do this. And another thing is, you want to clean this gap here, this gap between the collector and this housing. I have kept this here. You see how dirty it was? I just shoved this through that gap. This is all the dust, that carbon dust build up. You see? So shove a paper towel in here and pull it from the other side, so it cleans all this area here. Okay, another thing I do after I assemble this, I oil the bushings here and here. So for here, there is a big gap that you can see when I move. You see there is a gap here. So you can put the oil here. I use this oil for the big gap here, and for this side, the collector side, you don't want to put oil here. Okay, it will get on the collector and it will get kind of nasty, kind of muddy. So you want to keep this dry. So what I do, I use a different oil. I use this. It's very thin nozzle. I just put in between here and a drop, no more than a drop in between. So, and the capillary action, it sucks the oil in the bushing. So you don't want to have dry bushings here because it will wear out the bushing and the motor will start to kind of sound crazy, and it won't sound nice. So you can hear the buzzing. Alright, so after I clean them, I drop these carbons in here. put the spring, and then put this copper bars on it, and we got to make sure it has a curve, this carbon. Okay, so the curve goes with the curvature of the collector. Where's the spring? Oh, there it is. Okay, so now you got to make sure this collector is dry, no oil on it. Very smooth, turns very smoothly. Alright, another important thing that I do, I take the trucks apart. Okay, so I use this track, I sharpen the edge and it gets everywhere. I like using this. So then take the bottom apart, okay, those come out, and then I look at these gears. I usually put a drop of oil right there, the bushings here, right there. So this way they turn smoothly. And you gotta watch, sometimes these gears, they have sharp edges, they catch onto each other, and kinda on slow speeds they kinda get stuck. So you gotta make sure there is no sharp edges on these gears. They are all rounded. I see a lot of those sharp edges on older T2 locomotives, the gears. The newer ones, like this ready to run stuff, I haven't seen any, but the older T2s I see a lot. So after you make sure, turn it, make sure they turn smoothly. There is no obstruction, nothing in there. Sometimes I look in the inside the gear, sometimes small, like a ballast or something might get in there, you know, so I make sure there is nothing in there, they're all clean. And also put 2 or 3 drops on the gears itself, then I close them. Okay, then another thing I do, I clean this section here. What I use is scrubbing pads. I go like that. Okay, make it clean. Alright, and another part that you want to clean is the chassis here. I have done this already. So you want to get this part here that comes in contact with this together, you want to get this clean too for good conductivity. Okay. Alright, so next part are the wheels. So what I do, I take them apart like that. First of all, I check to make sure there is no cracks on the gear here, on the sides here. So turn it and make sure there is no cracks. If there is a crack, I change the gear. So then I take it apart, and these brass pieces that go on the wheel here, what I do, I take them all apart and throw them in this solvent here all together and shake it and let it sit there for a few minutes, so all the oil and stuff that they're built up on it and the dirt, they get dissolved into the cleaner. Then after, when I take them out, I clean this rod on the wheel. I use this scrubbing pad again and clean it like that. Okay. Then after this is clean, the wheel is clean, and another thing I do with the wheels, I put them on my drill here like that. See, I put them on the chuck, tighten it, then I use again the scrubbing pad. See, this is dirty, the wheel is kind of dirty. This is from an old T2. So what I do, I use this like that. Now you see it's shiny. Clean. Alright. I sometimes do the outside too, so the wheel itself. So, alright, so before assembly, I use this oil. It's conductive oil, so I don't use these. I use these because it's conductive on this part. So I put a drop right there. Then after, I put this on it, and then I put it on the gear. And don't forget to calibrate your wheels. Okay, so then I have done all these wheels here. You can see they're all, oops, I put the wrong wheel. This is the right one. So this goes here. Okay, so then, oh, another thing, I make sure they're clean, they're this middle, and sometimes what it happens, these things get kind of squeezed together here, these things, so you got to make sure they're kind of far apart, so make sure they're not touching the truck. So then I install this back. I don't know, I have done maybe a couple of hundred of more with the ones that I've sold and everything, and the ones that I have, probably around 300 or so locomotives. I have kind of restored them. So after I put this on, then you got to make sure they are loose. Okay, they're not tight, they move around. Okay, and then you give it a, right now it's okay, I got better. It was a little bit tight. So you gotta give it a kind of push like that, make sure it runs smoothly. This one runs better. Alright, so that's how I clean my wheels and the trucks. Sorry. So the motor, that's how I do it. Okay, another thing I've done, it was this GP60 I just bought. It had no motor mount, if you remember. So what I have done, let me show you. I used Athearn motor mounts and also ABS sheeting, and I have built a motor mount for it because I couldn't find any motor mount on eBay. And I talked to the guy at Ace Hardware, the friend of mine, Trace, and he said that they don't have the motor mount for this type of motor. So I was kind of desperate. I didn't want to use double stick tape. I didn't like the idea, so I came up with this idea. So this is what I've done. I've used these are the Athearn motor mounts. Okay, I used the ABS sheet. It was a flat sheet. What I did, let me show you. So I made a kind of box out of the ABS. So what I do, let me show you. So there is one piece. So this, see this here, they're not glued together because it's not gonna have strength. So it has to be one piece ABS. So let me show you what I do. So let's say this is the piece you want to bend. I put a piece of, let's say this metal here so it doesn't melt. Then I use my gun, soldering gun, and I go back and forth until it kind of, I put my finger here, kind of push it, and as soon as it starts to bend, let me show you. So go back and forth, don't push it too hard. And it starts to get soft. I gotta go fast. There you go. I got a very strong joint here. See? Then these two pieces, they melt together. When they dry, it's like one piece. It's very strong, you see? I can't even break it. So it's still warm. So that's how I bent these things. And I go a little bit inwards, so it puts pressure on the motor. So then I drill these holes. Then I drop in the motor. I put that double stick tape there so it doesn't turn. The motor doesn't turn. So then I drop it in. Then this here, this motor mounts go like that, and oops, like that here. Okay. I think I gotta turn it around. There is, that goes this way, I think. Yeah. So I put that double stick tape at the bottom so this thing doesn't turn around, so it gets stuck to the double stick tape. You can put tape around it, but it has to be thin so it doesn't touch the shell. And like a regular ready to run locomotive, I just put this on and put the screws on. And that's it. It's all set. So I'm gonna be, after I'm done with this AC4400, I'm gonna work on this GP60 and see what I can do with that one. And that's it for now. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and please don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'm gonna post that GP60 as soon as, oh actually no, I'm gonna post this AC4400 as soon as it's finished, and you guys can see the final result. Guys, I forgot to show you how to clean the collector of the motor. So what I usually do, yeah, usually when you look at this collector, it's mostly black, you know, it's very dirty. There's two ways you can do it. It depends. If you want to take it apart, like I did, and clean it, so that takes a lot of work. But let's say your locomotive is all with the decoder wiring, everything is in there. You just want to clean the decoder. You can't take this carbon contacts out and stuff, so you just want to clean the collector. What I recommend to do, that I do most of the time, I have about 70 locomotives that they're ready, you know, so I don't take it apart every time I want to clean it. You know, I just clean the collector, and the way I do it, which cleans the carbon contacts too, is by using what I use is the best is this blue, you know, like paper towels Home Depot sells and the hardware store sells. I use these ones because they don't have this like Q-tip. Don't use Q-tip because it has those long strands of cotton and stuff. It will get stuck in the collector. So you want to use something that doesn't have any type of lint, or I don't know, like anything. It doesn't leave back anything. So like this, I dip it into the cleaner here, soak it, then run the motor and hold it against the collector. Oops. Hold it against the collector here. Let it run, and it evaporates really fast. You see? And that was clean. As you saw, it was very clean collector. Okay? And what this cleaner does, it cleans your contacts too. If they're oily or dirty, what it does, it cleans those too, because it rubs this solvent on the what happened? Anyway, so it's the best way to clean is, that's what I do. I use this solvent because it evaporates really fast and doesn't harm the motor. And another way is to use these scrubbing pads. That's another way I do. I make a small piece like that. Okay, like this again. And if you don't have solvent, you can use this. Don't use sandpaper. Sandpaper will eat up your collector. So this will wear out before your collector wears out, because this is, I don't know, plastic. So let me try that one. And go a little bit high speed. Go like 12, 13 volts. Don't go like 4 or 5 volts. It will stop. Okay, you see, this thing picked up still a little bit of dirt and stuff. So, alright, so it's all clean and shiny, and I'm gonna show you the voltage that this motor starts to run. starting to move. Okay, right now with load it's 0.85 volt. So let's see what the actual voltage is. 240. So almost 2.5 volts. With 2.5 volts it starts to run. Okay, so cleaning the motor is very important for efficient running locomotive, you know. So 2.5 volts, that's very low. The older motors, the T2 motors and stuff I have tested, they take more voltage, about 3 volts or so. Alright guys, that was something I wanted to add. Alright, thanks for watching.